Okay, I don't know what happened. Okay, handwritten. Okay, so that's right. So there are, okay, one is there are words. You are correct. You can see here like a muscled man, cars, a handwriting. So in short, there are pictures and then there are words and they are put together, right? What do you think is the purpose of the creator of this image? What is the purpose in creating this image? Do you think there is a message that the creator wants to convey to us? What do you think is the message of the creator? Okay, showing his idea to inform. Very good. Showing his idea to inform. So in short, there are various purposes that the creator might consider, or yeah, various purposes, various elements, various considerations, sharing knowledge, Daniela said, in creating something. Okay, I think the goal of communication is to be able to share your idea, you know, your thoughts, your opinions effectively. And that is why we make use of different ways. Okay? Now, I want you to go to menti.com. Okay, I hope you can go to menti.com. Type in your URL menti.com. Please type this one, menti.com. Please type it in your in any search engine. If you have Google Chrome, if you have Mozilla, please type menti.com and then use the code 615110 4. Again, 615110 4. Let me share with you my monitor. Okay. So I hope you can see my monitor now. Okay, can you see my monitor?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Please use menti.com. Please type menti.com in your URL, I mean in a search engine, and then use the code 615110 4. This one, 615110 4. Let's go back to the picture that I have shown you earlier. You have seen their pictures, you have seen their words, and they are put together. Okay? That type of text is called multimodal text. Now, what do you think is a multimodal text? Okay, write a word, a phrase that would describe a multimodal text. Please use Mentimeter. So menti.com, use the code 615110 4. I hope someone can access it so that we can use this application. Okay. So have you already accessed Mentimeter, menti.com? Okay. So I haven't received any answer yet. So we have here multimodal text. Again, I'd like you to describe multimodal text based on the picture that I have shown you. I have given you already clues. Multimodal text is a making use of pictures, text, and putting them together to convey a message. So what is multimodal text? In that context, what do you think is a multimodal text? Can you type your answers now? Okay, someone wrote multimodal text. Multimodal text, multimodal. So any okay, very good. Includes pictures. What else? Anything else that you can use to describe multimodal text? From the word multimodal, what do you think multimodal text is. So far, unfortunately, I cannot determine who wrote it, but I know that you have accessed it. So, okay, very good. We have combination of ideas. Okay, that's right. So it includes pictures, a combination of ideas. It's a multimodal text from the word itself. So it's a multimodal text. What else? Okay, so we will go back to that later. So at least you have given me definitions of a multimodal text. So I will go back to my presentation now. Okay, so wow, may nagdagdag pa. So let me share with you my screen again so that you can see some of their answers. Okay, let me just share it. Okay, very good. Dumami, no? So we have here, we have created a word cloud. Okay, so the word cloud, it says here, multimodal text is, of course, use of posters, very good. Combination of ideas, compiling information. Multimodal text, that's the biggest text, is a combination of words that create an idea, very good. Includes pictures, drawings, comics, that's right. Okay, and multimodal text. So I think you have given already a lot of ideas pertaining to multimodal text. Very good. Okay, so now let's go back to our presentation. So in short, you have already defined what multimodal text is. Okay, that's very nice. Okay, so let me share with you now the definition of multimodal so that we will have a very clear context of what multimodal text is all about. Okay, so let me now proceed to the context. Okay, so it says here that creating multimodal texts prompts readers to be more skillful in acknowledging different from one mode to another. So, which means to say that when we are using multimodal text, it is not only um, simply conveying information, but we are also making our readers critical. You know, they make use of their minds to process the information that you are sharing. And of course, the purpose of multimodal text is to ensure that our readers will be able to get a full grasp of the idea that we are sharing them. That is why we make use of pictures, we make use of graphs, we make use of comic strips, we make use of videos, we make use of audio. So all types of materials that we can put together into one presentation that would make the presentation clearer, much easier to understand, and at the same time engaging to our listeners or to our viewers, you are making use of a multimodal text. Okay? Now, let me define what multimodal text is. So, when you talk about multimodal texts, it includes picture books, textbooks, graphic novels, comics, posters, where meaning is conveyed to the reader through varying combinations of visual, still image, written language, and spatial modes. Okay, spatial could be shapes, you know, and normally we can see this in comics, right? Or sometimes in abstract designs, even in newspapers. Newspapers use also multimodal texts. Okay, so there is a need to know first the purpose, audience, and genre to know what mode is exactly needed. So mahalagang matutunan natin kung ano yung purpose natin. Who is the audience? What is the genre? Okay? Actually, earlier today, I made use of Mentimeter. That is an example of a Mentimeter. Okay? So let me show you. Okay, let me show you again this app. This is a very useful app that you can also make use of when you are making presentation. We call it Mentimeter. Mentimeter, you can create Mentimeter just by logging into mentimeter.com. Okay? And then after doing that, it will just prompt you to register. So you can register using your Facebook account, or you can also register using your Gmail. So this is the appearance of the Mentimeter. Okay. So it can be used also as a form of a multimodal text, you know, when you are making presentation. And this is really one effective tool. Why? Because you can conduct surveys, you can conduct many things here. So all you have to do is just to create, right? So you go to home, for example, you have already registered on Mentimeter. So all you have to do is just to click home, and then you can click here, new presentation. Okay, so if you click new presentation, you will be prompted with this. So for example, you have created already the presentation that I made for you tonight. It's titled multimodal. So you have there already the presentation. So you can, you can manage to create your own title for this. So the title is multimodal, and then there is a choice. Okay, so for example, add slide. So this is now the word cloud. So now let's pretend I will add one more slide. Okay, so this is now the slide that you have created, and here are the different um, types of tools that you can make use of here. You can you can create multiple choice. So if you want your audience to um, you know choose from the ABC, for example, you will say, what is the capital city of the Philippines? Cebu, Davao, Manila, for example. So you can make your presentation really interactive using this multiple choice. Also, what we did earlier was an example of a word cloud. Yun, pinakita ko kanina, that's a word cloud. Okay? So you ask your audience to log into menti.com using the code, and then they will type their answer. Okay? The shorter, the better. And also, if the word is being repeated by different people, it will grow bigger. So the more who would use that particular key idea or idea, the more there are who choose that particular idea, the bigger the word becomes. So that's the beauty of the word cloud. So it's really interesting. You can also employ an open-ended question. Also, you can use scales here. You can use even ranking, and then Q&A. If you are into competition, you can have this one for competition. What is the correct answer, for example? So type of uh, answer. And then you can also make use of content slides like heading, subheading, paragraph, bullet, image. Of course, now I'm just using free version. That is why I cannot really create a lot of materials here. As you may have noticed, there are restrictions for free users. Okay, right now I'm only allowed. Okay, right now I have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 presentations already. But because I am using the free mode, I can only create 2 slides at the same time. I mean, 2 slides in every presentation. So that is the restriction, one of the restrictions for Mentimeter. But Mentimeter is one application that we can make use of. Again, we have to understand first the purpose, the audience, and the genre. Of course, I cannot use Mentimeter with elementary kids, especially if they are not used to using the different applications online. Maybe I can use it with college students. So that's something. So we have to identify also the purpose. So what's the purpose of my using of the word cloud? My purpose is to gather ideas from you in as far as the definition of multimodal text is. Applicable in laptop only. Actually, it is applicable even with your smartphone, because you can answer actually using your smartphone. So Mentimeter can also be used, in any gadgets uh, aside from laptops. Of course, it is easier for you to manipulate it if you are using a laptop. However, with the improvement of of the features of mobile devices, I think you can also effectively use it even with your smartphone. So you can explore on that Mentimeter. One application also that I would like to share with you, depending again, I have to go back to the purpose, audience, and the genre. Um, I have prepared. I think you are familiar with a Padlet, right? Last time, I think during the examination, I have shared with you. One of the I forgot if I have I have asked you to write something on Padlet, but I think this class has experience also using the Padlet. Padlet is also one application, online application that you can use when you are delivering instructions. I mean, when you are making presentation, and now because of the coronavirus, we cannot see each other, right? We cannot see each other physically, but we can interact using different applications. We call it third-party application. So I hope you can see my screen now. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is an example of a Padlet. And I have prepared questions here, for example, for my lectures. I will be giving lectures next week. So I have prepared already one example here. So I'll show you one example that I have made. So this is how Padlet works. Of course, you have to register through padlet.com, maybe using your Facebook account or using your Gmail account. So that is why it's very important that your Gmail, your Facebook are all functional and you can remember their passwords, because these are important in creating your accounts in the different applications online. So here you can interact with your participants by getting their answers after a lecture, for example. So I put here reflection. So I will be giving a lecture on early language literacy and numeracy next week. And after the lecture, I will ask them to write their major takeaway. One essential question that I'd like to ask is, as a teacher, I realized that. So these are the reflective questions or reflection questions that I want them to answer. Um, you have here actually share, and then you have here the modify. So if you want to modify, for example, because you are not allowed to go beyond 5 Padlet files, because still I'm using now the free version of Padlet, so I cannot really maximize the use of the different features of Padlet. But my with my free version, I can already make use of some of the features, and these are very useful features. So to be able to share your Padlet, you just go to share, of course, and then change the privacy. Because, if you haven't changed the privacy, chances are you will not be able to, this file on Padlet will not be visible to your audience. That is why it's very important to change the privacy. So you will just click here the privacy, and you will be brought to private, password, secret, and public. For you to be able to communicate this and to make this material visible to your audience, you have to click public, okay? And then can write. So for public, there are choices here whether can read only, can write, or can edit. So since I want my audience to write, you can put here can write, okay? So that's another one. And one last application that I want to share with you, again, in line with my lecture next week, is the ZThings. This is one of the best online application that you can make use of, or online applications that you can make use of, especially when you are creating a presentation. Of course, you have to register again, sign up for zthings.com, making use of your Facebook account. I'm using my Facebook account. Unfortunately, because I'm using only free version, I can only make one, two, three, four, five, 6 files, I think. A maximum of 6 or 5 files. I can make use of 5 files. What is beautiful about ZThings is that I'm opening now one of my files here. Is that okay? You can directly make a PowerPoint presentation, or you can make a PowerPoint presentation offline and you can download it to ZThings. Okay? And then after that, like this one, okay. So I think I have to make use of a different file. Okay? Let me use a different file. So I will use my file on special interest program, because this special interest program is purely done through ZThings. Okay. So I'm gonna show you now the full screen for ZThings. Okay, this is how it looks like. You have to give your participant a copy of the link, and they will open that link. So while listening to you, you know, their screen on their cell phone or in their PC will be filled with this presentation. And what is beautiful with ZThings is that, for example, there are some questions here that I ask. Okay, for example, question: how many of you have teaching experience? So there are choices A, B, and C. The participants can directly click on their screen, their choice. No need to go to another app. For example, like what we did today when I presented to you via PowerPoint presentation, I prompted you to go to Mentimeter, right? And it's very burdensome because you have to close first or minimize your Google Meet and then key in on the search engine, the link menti.com, something like that. So meaning to say it's burdensome on your part. But with ZThings, everything is here already. From your lecture to your activity, and the participants can directly click on the choices. That is if you have my link. Right now, I did not give to you the link. That is why you cannot access it. And what is also beautiful in here, it's because you can also add, aside from this one, you can also embed third-party applications. Okay, for example, I also I embedded in this presentation, for example, the activities. Okay, I embedded here, okay, the third-party app, which is Padlet. Nakita niya, may Padlet diri, oh. Okay, wait a moment. So Padlet is embedded in here. You can also embed Padlet in ZThings. So which means it's like a one-stop presentation. You know, you make a presentation with ZThings, but you know, all your activities which are in another application, in a third-party application, can be embedded in here. So that's the beauty. So right now you can see here, Padlet is also here. And what is beautiful also, in addition to that, is that you can also embed or download rather. You can, yes, upload. You can upload here videos, okay, from YouTube, for example, okay, directly. And also, okay, that's it. So that's the beauty of ZThings, okay? But again, as I have mentioned earlier, when you make a presentation, it is not just about making our audience probably amazed or making them amazed with our presentation, but we have to know first the purpose of our presentation, the audience, and the genre. Okay, because only in that considerations, or in those considerations, we will be able to make our presentation effective. So it's not about how beautiful your application is, but it is how you make use the application in delivering, in conveying the message to your audience. Now, okay, I think there is something that is written in the chat box. That is, okay, combination of, okay, answer. Now, there is a need, okay, let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, can you see my slide now? Sorry. I think I haven't shared it yet. Sorry. Let me share it. again. Okay. So can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So okay, I think I moved fast. So people realize the importance of videos in sharing memories, right? From still pictures to moving images, these moments are seen to extend meaning to the public. Okay, so that's why we make use of videos in conveying information. I remember when our superintendent celebrated her birthday, I think 2 months ago, 2 months ago, I made a short video presentation as a tribute to her being our superintendent. So I made use also of a multimodal text, like still images and also videos of people greeting. So I put them together. And aside from that, with her pictures, I also include some texts to describe those pictures. So you see, if you made use of these elements in your presentation, you can really capture the attention of your audience. At the same time, you can also make them feel, interested in viewing your video. So that's the beauty of a multimodal text. Short films, trailers, for example, and documentaries are some of those done by the students, faculty, and corporate individuals on a daily basis because meaning to them matters a lot. So, with the advent of technology, vloggers, bloggers, now I do not know many, some of you here are making vlogs already. Are you following some YouTube influencers like Heart Evangelista, for example? Uh, you know, showing off.
Alex.
Are you watching Mike Lean, Heart Evangelista vlogs?
So, sometimes, sir.
Sometimes, yeah. I actually, a friend of mine is really fond of Heart Evangelista's collection, from her bags, shoes, dresses, and also when she goes somewhere, she creates. I mean, she's creating some vlogs and posted them on YouTube. Diba? That's also a multimodal way of making presentations. And mind you, they're making money out of it. So that's the beauty of Sir Willie, Sir Vlogger. Okay. Willie Revillame. I don't know. I don't know Willie. Sir Willie, your teacher? Okay, so yeah. I think some teachers also now in DepEd are trying to create vlogs, but when you create vlogs, you have to create first your theme, right? That is why it's very important to know first your purpose and your audience, right? I have made, I would like to emphasize again the three things: purpose, audience, and genre. I know many of you here are doing TikTok, and how many of you are posting videos on TikTok? Maybe all of you. So, are there still here? Is anyone here not fond of TikTok? All of you
Yes.
are doing.
Yes.
Okay, you're doing
Yes,
TikTok,
sir.
right? Have you noticed that when you post TikTok videos, many only few people sometimes you know react to your posts. But have you noticed that there are really, really famous TikTok influencers that even when they post something simple, many people would like it. Why? It's because they have already gathered the audience. That is why it is very important. TikTok is also a platform where we can showcase multimodal text. But it's very important that if you want to gather as many audience, even on Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media platforms you are using, you really need to know your purpose first. Your purpose, your audience, and then your genre. Because copying someone's work will make you less attractive to others, right? And also, it's not good to start with copying. Probably if your intention is just to enjoy, doing TikTok without that kind of thinking that you would want to get more audience, then that would be fine because we have our ways or we have our reasons and purposes why we do such things, right? Okay, so moving forward, one of the easiest in sharing stories is through digital storytelling. And We have to consider here modern expression of the ancient art of storytelling uses digital media to create media-rich stories to tell, to share, and to preserve, right? Um, Digital stories can be derived through weaving images. Okay. Um, I, I I remember I'm also I'm actually fond of TikTok. So I watch maybe more of a viewer rather than a content creator. So there are some people here who can create images of themselves when they were still young and then transforming into the person they are now. So making use of still images, okay? So they can create that. It's really, really beautiful, right? And also they can include music in there. So it's beautiful. And sometimes they include narrative, okay? And voice together. So aside from the narrative, they have the voice together, thereby giving deep dimension and vivid color to characters, situations, and insights. One example also of the output that you have made before during the prelim was when I told you to make short video presentation of the topic which were or topics which were discussed during the prelim. There was someone or a few of you who made a voice over of your presentation aside from the narratives, aside from the images, and aside from the music. So you put together all these elements in one presentation, and that is what you call multimodal text. So there are several categories, according to Robin in 2008, of digital stories. We have personal narratives, stories that examine historical events, and stories that primarily inform or instruct. Okay, so these are the different ways on how we can storytell. Okay, now media presentations have become commonplace wherever we go on the internet, and its necessity is drawn from the quality that simply makes any viewer very engaged with what's being viewed. It is prerequisite to all media activity involving the combination of narration, photos, video, music, and more. So you see, now with the proliferation of cheap smartphones, for example, we can buy cheap smartphones. Before, the price of a smartphone was so high. I mean, it was so expensive that only few could buy. But now there are cheaper brands of smartphones, and these smartphones, interestingly, can already create multimodal texts or materials using the different applications such as Filmora, Power Director, KineMaster, Powtoon, and if you are using advanced, maybe like the OBS, the Open Broadcast software. So that's also one of the you know softwares you can use with your laptops. Now, let's take a look into the characteristics of a multimedia presentations. When you are making a presentation, for example, be it in the academe or business, there are many considerations that we need to follow or we need to consider. These are the characteristics of a multimedia presentation. So multimedia presentations are visually oriented, displayed on a monitor, or projected on a screen. That is why right now I'm trying to make my PowerPoint presentation as simple as possible, devoid of any decorations, because I don't want my audience to be distracted by fancy designs. As you may have noticed, very, very simple. What is the purpose of that? To be able to highlight the text more than anything else, right? Although in a physical or in a face-to-face presentation, you can make use of music, maybe additional sound, animation, and all that. But here, with the online presentation, I think that's why it's very important to always know your purpose, your audience, and the genre, because these are very important elements in making your presentation really successful. Now, multimedia presentation allows users, or yeah, they allow users to use different modalities such as you can make use of text, you can make use of graphics, photographs, audio, animation, and video. Okay? For example, I shared with you the application called ZThings.com. So that alone has already text, has already graphics. Maybe you can add some photographs if you will upload it. You can upload photographs there. You can even make use of audio with your PowerPoint presentation, for example, and even animation, transitions and stuff like that, videos. So these are the different modalities that users can maximize or can make use of when they are making multimedia presentations. Now, special features of computer-based presentations, custom navigation, linking between slides to other media onto the internet, can be made into hard copy printouts of transparencies, can be uploaded to the web. So these are the different features of a computer-based presentation. For example, right now, I prepared a PowerPoint presentation. If I want to share this with you, I can just upload it to Google Classroom, or I can send it to you via Messenger, or you can also just print it out. That's the beauty of a multimedia presentation. You can also link it with, for example, I want to use ZThings using this PowerPoint presentation. What I will do is just to go to ZThings and then upload this PowerPoint to the ZThing platform. So that is sort of linking. Or I use ZThings and then I made also another activity in Padlet. So I will just link Padlet to ZThings. So which means that with the use of multimedia applications, you can already, you know, link between and among media for you to be able to create a very, very successful, effective media presentation or multimedia presentation. So these are the steps in making effective multimedia presentations. So we should understand these. One, know the purpose of the presentation. So you will be making your own presentation starting a pre-finals, and I am excited for that because I will be listening to your lectures. It's you who will be delivering your lectures anymore, not me. So I will just be there observing you and probably giving some inputs, if I may, after your discussion. But you will be hosting, or you will sort of, you know, hosting or managing the proceedings or every activity that we will do in the meeting, in the virtual meeting. Know your audience, for example. Gather information and use variety of resources such as textbooks, digital resources, photographs, scanned images, student work, and internet. So that's what I'm doing now, actually. I'm using Mentimeter, for example. Of course, I know you already. You are my student. So that kind of idea will give me already um, some sort of inkling as to what kind of presentation should I prepare. Of course, I'm using textbook because the main source of this presentation that I have now is textbook. However, I also make use of internet resources. So these are the things that we have to consider. In addition to that, do not forget to cite sources. That is why in my modules, I always cite sources. I'm here. My apologies. I have not cited the source. I cited the sources. But the source of this presentation was actually your module because I just transferred everything from the module. Okay? But when you are making presentation, make sure that you have the reference because you have to cite the source. Organize the information such that it would be, gradual. You start with the title and then the objectives and then a mini activity and then the abstraction, and then you can have post activity and then thank you. Okay, so you have to organize the information so that one information will lead to the unfolding of the next information, so on and so forth. And then check technical issues. Why is it important to check the technical issues? You want to use Mentimeter. However, you do not know, you know, the full features of Mentimeter. So what will you do? You have to practice first, right? For example, today, this is my first time to use ZThings. However, I have not, well, it's my first time to create a multimedia presentation using ZThings. I do not know yet how it works. So I asked my niece, I sent her the link of the presentation, and then we practiced it, how to use ZThings, okay, in a real-time presentation. So you see, um, checking technical issues will save the day, especially if you are meeting here online. Every minute counts, and there is really, really very short room for errors, which is why if you commit errors, it should be minimal. When you do presentation, I want you to be like that. If there are four in a group, make sure that all of you are present during the presentation. Otherwise, if one is absent, the topic assigned to the third person who is absent should be taken over by any of the three of you. So I don't want you to say, sir, we will skip topic three because topic three presenter is absent. I will take that as a solution. The solution is that it will be taken over by any of the three members left. Okay? So that's how you troubleshoot problems or technical issues in as far as making online presentations is concerned. Okay? Now, in checking technical issues, we need to consider the contrast. When you talk about the contrast, it means to say the background of your presentation. If it is dark, then your text must be lighter. If the background is light, then the text must be darker. So you have to consider that. Sometimes, when you create a presentation through PowerPoint, sometimes the default designs or the available designs, although they are, sometimes they are good already, but there are times also that the design does not give you a very good contrast in as far as the background and the text is concerned. That is why you need to look into that. My presentation today, the background of this was different. However, when I tried to put the text, I realized that the text and the background do not match or did not match. That is why I had to change the background so that the text would be visible. So you see, that kind of issue must be addressed while you are preparing a PowerPoint presentation. Do not just say, this is, wala akong magagawa. No, I cannot do anything because this is already the default design that I got from my PowerPoint presentation or from my PC. It's not the problem. I mean, it's not the answer to your problem because you can always customize your presentation such that it would fit, you know, the perfect presentation or perfect multimedia presentation that you want to have. Another one is use only one design and color scheme throughout the slide presentation. Have you noticed that, I made use of almost similar slides all throughout design, the color, the scheme, the design. Why? To give my audience sort of, this is relaxing to the eyes, actually. If you, as I mentioned earlier, if you make use of fancy designs in your slides, for example, it might stress the eyes of your audience, especially now that we are doing online presentation. It's very important for us to always consider the visual effects of your presentation. That is why, as much as possible, use only one design, one color, and one scheme in your slide presentation. And avoid clutter. When you talk of clutter, yung nakaspread siya all throughout. That is why, as much as possible, make your presentation really neat looking, okay, well organized. And if you look at it, your eyes would not go everywhere, but your eyes would focus only on the text. Next, avoid patterned or textured background. Okay, di ba? There are times when the background of your presentation checkered, for example, that can also distract the audience attention to your text. Use large font size, minimum of 18 points, especially when you are making a presentation. So for you to be able to ensure that your font size is large, is big, do not, you know, Do not fill the whole slide with text. As much as possible, you have to limit the number of lines in your slide. Use fonts that are easy to read. Don't use fancy fonts. The font that I'm using now, I think this is Calibri. We have fonts like Tahoma. I'm fond of Tahoma, but now I am in love with Kalinga. Kalinga or Kalinga, no, I forgot I don't know how it is pronounced, but Kalinga is also one of my favorite font styles. Of course, Arial, Century Gothic, Tahoma, because these font styles are really easy to read, not fancy. Okay, fancy are those full of decorative designs, which should be avoided when making presentations. Don't use more than two types of fonts as much as possible. Maybe you can use a different font for the title and then another font for the body text. So, but never mix different types of fonts as it may distract also the audience. That is so complicated to look at. Avoid too much text. I just mentioned that earlier. That is why, as much as possible, use no more than 3 to 4 bullets per slide. So right now, I have 3 bullets, right? This one I have 4. This one I have 4. That is why it's very important to limit it to 3 bullets as much as possible. That is why you have to consider also like what I mentioned earlier, your purpose, your audience, and the genre. Because if you are talking to a crowd of 100 participants, for example, in a big auditorium, you need to only make use of bigger fonts, right? Maybe one line or 1 bullet per slide. Have you noticed with Steve Jobs, when Steve Jobs was still alive, he made presentations making use only of multimodal texts. One big picture, one word. Okay, something like that. Why is it effective? It's because the beauty of the presentation does not, of course, our you know our technical skills or our skills in delivering our talk or our presentation contributes a lot to the success of our presentation. However, the visuals that you are making use of, like the presentation that you are making use of, contributes a lot also in your presentation. Maybe 50-50. 50 in your presentation, 50 on the person. That is why it's very important that we need to improve it. And also, we have to be creative in making our presentation. So use transitions and animations to add interest, but don't overdo it. Have you noticed that there are some animations on PowerPoint na paikot-ikot siya, rotating before before it goes to the text, parang umikot-ikot pa siya ng ganun. So actually, it's very, it's not so appealing to the eyes of the audience. That is why we have to avoid that. Okay? So we can use animations, we can use transitions, but we have to use only the simple ones, because if we overdo it, it will not appeal to the audience anymore. It will bore them. Sometimes it will distract them, it will frustrate them. So our purpose is to convey information, and making use of the multimedia presentation is our aid, our communication tool to convey that information. So we have to make use of the multimedia to help us convey, not to distract our audience. Okay? So that's the end of my presentation for today. This is a blank sheet here. I wanted to say thank you so much for your still active participation in tonight's engagement. Okay, despite your conditions right now, I know that you still struggle with internet connectivity, but I'm happy that many of you joined in our class today. So before we end, can you tell me your most essential learning in today's lesson? So please type it in the chat box. One important learning that you have gained from tonight's lesson. Okay? Any answer? Please type it in the chat box. Any important learning? Any realization, any insight which you would like to share with me tonight and the rest of your classmates? Please type it in the chat box. Okay, I'm still waiting. Okay, let me just. Okay, I think I need to stop the recording.